What happens when your team wins the national championship? Well, a lot of players are going to the NFL, graduating, um, and that's not exclusive to the 2021 Georgia Bulldogs. There are a ton of players who are leaving. I think Georgia's retaining a little bit more on offense as far as who started last year. I think they're retaining a little bit more on offense, but they have a lot of guys who are going to be missing some holes to fill, and they're going to have to plug and play like championship teams do. Ryan Keller from Dog Post here. And before I really jump into this, click the link down below. Dogstruction, our commemorative, about 80-page book of the 2021 Georgia Bulldogs championship run. Insider look at it. Dogstruction. You're not going to miss out on this. The first roll of orders are going to be ending soon, and you're going to want to get that book. So trust me, it's cool. So who is going to be the biggest hole? Who's going to leave the biggest hole to fill for whoever ends up being the replacement in 2022? I think a popular answer, just because of popularity, has become Jordan Davis. But if you really know the team, I think that you don't believe that because of Jalen Carter and how talented of a defensive lineman he is. I look at the roster from now to next year, and I think it's the linebacker position. How do you replace Nakobe Dean and Quay Walker? I think that's the biggest hole to fill. I mean, we're talking about. I'm pretty sure that I was somewhat public with this. At least I was to my friends and to people I know. But for most of the season and definitely the end of the season, I thought that Nakobe Dean was the best player on Georgia's roster. I didn't think that at the beginning of the year. I thought he was one of the better ones, but as the year went on, I decided, and I think people agree with me, that Nakobe Dean was the best player for Georgia this past season during the championship run. I think he's excellent. I think he's going to be a first. I think if he's not, he should be a first-round pick. I think that he is that kind of guy. I don't know that he's quite as good as Roquan Smith is, but he's not that far off as far as their career at Georgia. And he probably had a better career, but both Butkus Award winners. So, and then Quay Walker too. Both your star linebackers. We're not just talking about. Pretty much the whole linebacker core, really. I think the middle linebacker, that middle position, obviously in Nakobe Dean, but the entire linebacker core, Quay Walker, Channing Tindall. Those are your guys. Adam Anderson, we don't know about that. We don't know if he's going to play again. There's no update on that, so I'm taking that out of account. But you replace that linebacker core of Channing Tindall, Nakobe Dean, and Quay Walker. I think that's the biggest role to fill when an entire unit like that is disappearing. Because if you go to the other places, yeah, Lewis Seen and Darian Kendrick going, but you'll still have Keely Ringo. Chris Smith decided to come back. You've got a lot of 5-stars coming in at the secondary. Georgia's a really good secondary class, the 2022 class, led by Malachi Starks, who's listed as an athlete. I think he'll be safety or a star. And not to mention Tyke Smith will be healthy, hopefully, in the coming season. So I don't think that the secondary is going to be as big of a problem. I think it's replacing these linebackers. There's a couple guys. There's Michael Sherman, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, Smile Mondon. Those are the two names that pop into mind first over the last 2 years. 5-star guys, a lot of talent, a lot of promise. I know Michael Sherman, really physical guy, impressive specimen. But look, if I'm looking at just in 2021, what did these linebackers do for Georgia? You're talking about 72 tackles from the Butkus Award winner Nakobe Dean, 67 tackles from Channing Tindall, and 63 tackles from Quay Walker. They are 2, 3, and 4 on Georgia's tackle leading list. Lewis Seen was number 1 with 73. Combined sacks, you got one, so that's 7. That's 13 combined sacks between the three of them. That's a ton of production that you're losing, a ton of leadership. All those guys, juniors and seniors, obviously, because they're all going to the NFL. You're losing a lot in those guys, especially in Nakobe Dean in the middle. It is hard in college football to have a star middle linebacker the way that he was. I think that we look at outside linebackers and pass rushers. They get drafted higher. Maybe that's justified, but they get drafted higher than than middle linebackers typically. I mean, how many times do you really see a middle linebacker go in the top 10? I don't think that's very often. I mean, off the top of my head, Roquan Smith's the last one a couple of years ago. I'm sure there's been one, but I'd have to... Oh, Micah Parsons, who's kind of a do-it-all linebacker, I guess you could say. Really great rookie linebacker for the Cowboys. But a lot of production out of those guys. I think Munden, number 20, is going to be a guy that they're going to look at as a young guy that has to step up. I think Sherman. I think you got... I'm not sure what the verdict was on Dumas Johnson, but Georgia has the talent. That's what good programs do, and programs that recruit really well, and that's what Kirby Smart has built. I know we talk about Alabama in this sense a lot, but it's because they're so applicable to these situations in that you lose all this talent after these championship runs and you got to replace it. Well, Alabama's done that over and over, and now we've seen Georgia have to replace talent. We've seen them have to replace Roquan Smith with a Nakobe Dean. We've seen them have to replace a Lorenzo Carter. We've seen them have to replace a Leonard Floyd. We've seen them have to replace quarterbacks. We've seen them have to replace all sorts of positions, and they got the guys. I think that, Nolan Smith coming back was really important because you have Trayvon Walker leaving. So I think in some of the other positions that they're fine. They're missing some guys at wide receiver. Jermaine Burton and George Pickens will be out. But there's so many weapons for Georgia that they're going to be fine. You look at the running back room. James Cook and Zamir White, 2 great guys for 4 years for Georgia, right? RBU, all that. They were kind of the next 2 men up. Well, you got Kenny McIntosh and Kendall Milton and Dejon Edwards, and you got Branson Robinson coming in, who I have a lot of hope in. So, even tight ends, you lose John Fitzpatrick, right? Someone who has been kind of a staple in your offense the last 2 years. But you've got Brock Bowers, you've got Darnell Washington, and you've got 4-star Oscar Delp coming in, another impressive freshman. Georgia's got the guys. That is where we're at now as far as Georgia goes as a program. That's the situation we're in. It is plug and play, churn it out. Kirby Smart, the machine is. I like to call it the machine. It is a churning machine with cogs, and the cogs go in and out, in and out. They go into the NFL. New guys come in, and that's what I don't think that it's going to be a desperate situation at linebacker for Georgia, but I think that the linebacker position is definitely the biggest hole to fill, especially when you're losing 3 guys to the NFL who are 3 of your top 4 leading tacklers in 2, 3, and 4, and a combined 13 sacks. Huge production loss, huge leadership loss. I mean, Nakobe Dean was one of the captains on this team this past season, so it is a huge loss. That's the biggest shoe to fill, in my opinion. Who's yours? Is it the same? Let us know in the comments, and be sure to get Dogstruction before it's too late.